Hi ladies, welcome to Eluvia Collective. You are in the explore page of the site. Have a look around. I've got a number of free coaching sessions here where you can get a bit of an idea of the flavor of the sort of subjects, although there will be loads and loads that we'll unpack in tier 1 of the membership. It gives you an idea about what we're going to do. We're weekly in tier 1. I'll unpack a different topic myself with experts, doing it in a live variety sort of format where you can ask questions. But if you can't join us for that, it'll be recorded. I'll be sending out a SIF sheet with all the gold nuggets that you need from it, and you'll be able to ask questions in the community chat, which is where we're going to get all that rich conversation. So this one we will be unpacking a lot. So like nutrition, but I've been a coach for 40 years. So training and exercise is something I know more than a little bit about. But I also know it from I want to meet this where you are. This doesn't mean, sure, I'm pretty fit and strong, to say the least. But I'm also very aware that I want to meet women where they are in this journey. That might be that you've done absolutely nothing. All you've done is walk, and we need to get started on something. It might be that, like me, you've been doing it for years, but what you're doing is not working and you need to make some changes. I want to put all spectrums of this into Eluvia. So I'm meeting women where they are. That is one of my issues with what is going on with information and misinformation, is because of social media, you're getting a sort of single polarized view in a post, and people are taking on that misinformation when it doesn't suit them. So training and exercise basics in peri and postmenopause. What do I mean by that? Exercise versus training. And I talked about this in the nutrition coaching. If you've watched it, the word diet versus nutrition. But here, these are two different things to me. Exercise focuses on that everyday movement that encompasses elements in our daily lives, like walking, off the train, walking to your car, gardening, doing a friendly hike. Whereas training is that physical activity we do with intention, where it's planned and we're doing it for the purpose of a gain. And most of all at this stage, as I'm going to talk about, it'll either be your cardiovascular health or building muscle. So that is your resistance training, going swimming with the intention of improving your cardiovascular health, running, cycling, group fitness classes. Ideally, we want to incorporate both. We want that daily movement. We want to increase our non-exercise activity thermogenesis and increase our movement with intention. Lifestyle, injury, health, commitments, and symptoms of peri and postmenopause are all going to affect our ability to train and exercise at times. And you know why I put that in there? Because not enough people say that. What I mean is, I've got to meet you where you are. I know, so while I'm recording this, I have not been very well over the last couple of weeks. I've got something wrong with my gastrointestinal system, and it has really impacted what I can eat. So I have not been able to work out as much. I can't lift as much. I can't push as hard. There are going to be things, and this is just one part. I'm 55. Over the last 10 years, I've had brain surgery. I have moved countries. I have not had enough money to join a gym. There are so many reasons that our life can interact with what we're able to do. So it's really important that I can help meet you where you are in your journey and what's going on for you right now. This, if you've already watched the nutrition, you might want to skip forward the next two slides. Just again, TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure and body composition, and how they're impacted with training as opposed to just nutrition, but understanding how we expend energy. We're talking about the top part of this box this time, although we're going to build muscle to improve our BMR, because we can't do much more than just muscle in that part, the biggest part of the blue. But in the top, our non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is the biggest part of the non-resting part, more daily movement, getting up from your desk, walking a little bit further, taking the stairs, not using the lift, walking up the escalator at a pace, using it like a stair climber, not just standing still on it, little things. And the top, the exercise activity thermogenesis, is our intentional planned movement. This is how our body uses energy. and then looking at that body composition, training along with your protein to preserve and build muscle, moving with weight, resistance training is the biggest and most important impact we're going to have on muscle preservation and growth. So if you've watched the other training, you'll know we want to focus on body composition, improving lean muscle mass over BMI. We're getting rid of that as a marker at all. We will lose muscle at this phase of our life if we don't do something about it. And muscle is going to give us more than an aesthetic look. It is for our strength. It is for our ability to do things like normal daily tasks, like lift groceries. If you're like me and you've got a 25-kilo dog and the dog hurts, when Latte hurts herself and I've got to carry her, there are functional reasons for me to be strong. Our mobility as we age, it's so important. Getting it out of chairs, getting it out of cars, stops injuries, falls. It supports our bone health, which with osteoporosis is absolutely massive. Hip fractures, all of those things that affect women so badly with menopause. Blood sugar regulation, muscle is going to support us with that insulin sensitivity, which really I do believe is a big reason that women struggle with midlife weight gain, especially around their middle, even when they seem to be eating less and doing all of the things that they've done before. It's just working against them. And I am talking to a top scientist who I hope to get on at some point, who's doing an incredible study around actually highly trained women in menopause and the effect of not being able to gain muscle or an increase in their fat deposits even when they are training, eating protein and doing all those things. Why is that happening? So insulin sensitivity or blood sugar spikes, cortisol, stress, estrogen absorption, even when you're on HRT, all of these things have an impact, and reducing our risk of chronic disease. So how do we get a bit of muscle? Staying active is a non-negotiable priority for health. I'm sorry, ladies, but at this particular time, I don't say the word non-negotiable easily. You'll learn that from me if you join. I don't like non-negotiables because life comes at us. However, keeping moving, even when I've been sick over the last couple of weeks, I can't go to the gym and lift maybe what I can normally lift, but I can get out and take the dog for a walk, or I can get up out of my chair and do some body squats. There are ways of making sure that moving is a priority, focusing on that non-exercise activity thermogenesis first, just moving more, making that intentional to your week, walking further from my car or from the train or bus if you take those things, walking the stairs at work versus the lift, getting out of your desk, doing body weight squats every hour on the hour. That's a fantastic one. I was about to swear, I'm trying not to. Outside of non-exercise activity thermogenesis, I want you to try and find 20 to 60 minutes, 3 times a week, 5 times a week if you can, to train with intention. Consistency trumps anything. And for those of us who've been training for years and years and years, we don't find it easier. We have just, consistency has been part of our life for longer. And so it's just a healthy daily habit. So moving more is good for weight management. Training helps us build lean muscle mass and create strong bodies. However, there is actual really good, interesting research coming out around what I'll talk about in a minute, which is sprint interval training or high intensity interval training, supporting fat loss even more so than that sort of long, slow distance. Not everyone's bag though, I get that. Training is our tool to maximize muscle and both physical and mental health. Now, I've had a brain tumor removed. I was lucky enough to work with some of the best neurosurgeons, neuro-oncologists, neurologists in the world in a research project. And this was the research is way bigger than this. This was 10 years ago. Exercise has an impact on your brain health that is well researched and well studied. Things like Alzheimer's, any kind of neurological disease, exercise has an improvement. And that most of the study then and up until now has actually been done on cardiovascular exercise. So I'm not one to take that out either, because it has both a benefit for our heart, but also a benefit for our brain health, our actual matter in our brain. And there is so much evidence to support this along with our immune system. But our number one modality at this point is around muscle and strength training, with our goal to be fit, strong, capable, and healthy. It is not to shrink. There is a whole conversation in here around GLP-1s and what is happening in society, but this is not the platform for it right now. There is too much going back to the skinny body and the impact of that on our long-term health. That frailty is what we saw in our mothers and our grandmothers' generation, and we do not want that back. So intentional training, what might that look like? And I will be diving into this in a lot of detail in our Tier 1 membership. So our gold standard, resistance, strength training, whichever one you call it, building muscle so we have more metabolically active tissue, which improves blood glucose, prevents injury, all of those things. 2 to 4 times a week is all it's going to take. You could join a gym, but if you're starting out, you can start this at home too. A little bit of something for our heart, I believe, is really important. Whatever is going to suit you. It could be zone 2, it could be longer, slow distance, if that's more your jam, running, swimming, and cycling. For someone like me, I tend to choose HIIT or sprint training, super short bursts of high, full max, even 80% to max. It does depend on what you're used to or what you can get used to. You've got to start, if you're starting out, as I've said, got to be met where you are. And so you've got to work with someone like myself who understands all the different fitness levels of women. Who's not going to come at you and say, I want you to go to the gym 5 times a week, lift all these heavy weights, I want you to sprint train, when you don't even know what that means. So this is trying to meet you where you are and give some outlines of what that might look like based on the modality that you're choosing. And then you've got accessory movement like your yoga and Pilates and your intentional walking, going out for lovely walks, taking the dog or going with girlfriends. All these things are super important for our mental health, our emotional and mental stability. I think Pilates is great for your core, but yoga and Pilates are not going to improve your muscular strength, and they're not going to build muscle in the way that weight training is. And I think there is now, unequivocal evidence around that. But I'm not saying take them out. Just don't make them your main form of exercise if you do really care about building muscle. If you're just starting out, some resistance training and walking with intention is a great place to start, and that's what I mean, meeting you where you are. However, also, if you're someone who's been training for a long time, it might be that you've got to change the way you're training. I certainly did, ladies. So for me, I was a bit of a cardio junkie for sure. Although I've always strength trained, cardio was definitely more cardio, less strength. And I've had to switch that completely round the other way to support both my symptoms of perimenopause and menopause and not losing muscle, because I was losing muscle doing too much cardio. So as I say, you've got to be met where you are, and you need to probably work with someone one-to-one, which you can do with me or someone else. But it is really important that you look at what's going to work for you. And again, like I did in the nutrition coaching, think of 3 healthy habits a month around your exercise and training that you could focus on. Is it increasing that NEAT every 5 days of the week at least? Am I going to start doing 3 to 5 intentional sessions? That's going to be my focus for the next month. Daily steps, I mean that more around your NEAT. I do not like the obsession around numbers. I get that lots of people wear trackers. I personally don't. But this random number of 10, 12, 14,000 steps was probably created by the person that created the wearables, and it becomes an obsession. And it's also become an obsession for trainers online to sell it to you alongside their programs, because you'll be out walking for so many hours, you will lose the weight and it'll make them look good. Most of us cannot fit 12,000 steps in a day around our work, our family, and our commitments. Just try and move more. And learning to lift weights, that would be a great healthy habit to put into your wee journal as well. So just pick a couple of nutrition ones, maybe a couple of training ones, and stick to those healthy habits. Focus each month on something. Thank you, ladies. So obviously, this is an area I have 40 years of coaching experience around. So we will be looking a lot at it. And again, my most important thing is meeting women where they are in their journey. There is no such thing as one prescription for everybody because we're all at a different phase. So thank you, and I hope to see you soon. Take care.